halfway through the day, as Falcone just said. And that means we're going to continue with Group D. And I think it's time to put another team through to the top 16. It's going to be Hong Kong, who won 3-2 against Chinese Taipei off stream, or the Netherlands, who we've just seen demolish the United States.
Yeah, didn't even feel particularly close there, and it's always sad to see a team get quite so thoroughly destroyed, especially one I respect quite so much, like the United States. But as Falk was saying a little earlier, we'll get to see them in the losers bracket up against Chinese Taipei in just a moment's time. But first, we're going to find out who we're sending to join us in the next stage of the tournament in a couple of weeks' time out of Hong Kong and the Netherlands. A couple of interesting picks and bans here before we head into the games in terms of the Druid being honestly is not something you see all too often.
And banned on the other side. We were talking yesterday about how Druid in this particular tournament seems to have been a very good pick. Well, if you're shielding it and banning it, that sort of confirms that, really.
Yeah.
So Feng and Qin are the two players for Hong Kong, and Thais and Kuikazi for the Netherlands. Qin recently made Grandmasters by virtue of his strong finish in Bucharest. And I always felt he was incredibly unlucky not to be a Grandmaster anyway. It turns out that a gold medal is worth $0.
Is that a direct exchange rate?
That's basically how it works. Like in events like that, the gold medal is the prize.
Right.
And so when you're adding up the dollar values to see who gets into the Grandmasters initially, a gold medal is $0. That's just how it works.
I reckon if you sold it on the black market, you'd be able to get a little bit of money for it.
Well, I'm not going to ask him to sell it. I think he's probably quite proud of it.
And justifiably so.
And Fung, on the other hand, he went 8-4 in Seoul. He's qualified for 2 Master Tours, but for whatever reason, I don't know what it is, couldn't get to one of them. And he's played a lot of online qualifiers, got a very good strike rate. So definitely a good backup here for Qin. And the defining matchup so far of the Global Games, the Druid versus the Quest Shaman. And we've seen the Druid quite well recently.
We have, but here we see the Druid taking a pretty strong diversion from its usual route of play, which is, of course, just to float your mana in the first few turns wherever possible, in favor of getting down these Crystal Merchants. This does mean we're not going to have quest completed until turn 7, a staggeringly slow quest completion for Thais, but in exchange, he's going to be able to hoard quite a lot of cards.
Yeah, be interested to see how that works out for him. Obviously, it's not the token Shaman, which makes quite a big difference, because otherwise you're just getting flattened in those first few turns. But delaying the quest is something I've tried a few times in Druid, and even if it feels like a good idea at the time, it tends not to end very well. Let's see how he abuses the extra cards he's going to have.
Ends up finding, what is that, Spirit of the Frog off of the Witchy Lackey, which is pretty bad, I guess. I was trying to think if there's any way you can combo that, but I think that Quest Shaman only runs 0. Oh, I suppose it runs Evolve as well. Okay, so if he hits the Mutate here, he will be able to combo with Spirit of the Frog, but 9 times out of 10, that's a 0-3 with no text.
Yeah, this deck is not built in the same way as the token deck in which to abuse the frog. That is the primary difference, in fact. And it's just going to get taken care of. And the Druid is going to start drawing a lot of cards, like you were saying. Going to give another draw to Hong Kong, though, with which to pick up that Mutate. And that can be punished. The hares are ready to go. Mutate 2 evolves in the deck. Can they rip one off the top? Not this time.
Come dance to my song.
And it is looking like Netherlands' idea of just getting a lot of cards and not overly worrying about the quest is paying off at the moment, for sure.
It appears as such. It does mean that they are a little bit more vulnerable to early bursts of pressure from Fung if we were to see something like a Hair plus Evolve, an early Mogu, anything like that. But fortunately for Tice, they've struck the perfect balance where they have a whole bunch of cards and they're under no pressure at all.
Yeah. Looking very good for them. Can change in a hurry though. We've seen Shaman, even if he gets as far as Shudderwock with a load of battle cries, can just kill people off. But the Druid has the double version of the Oasis card, the healing. So really cannot see Netherlands not winning. They're going to have their own pressure very, very soon.
They are indeed. So, Fung has to turn this around nice and quick. We're of course looking for cards like Evolve to get the Hair and Evolve combo rolling. Mogu, if he wants to be able to give himself an 8-drop cheated out as well. But it's just not coming together quite yet.
Yeah, it's a real clutter. They're going to be able to complete the quest, and they don't even seem to be able to generate much when they've done that, to be honest. And when you start facing the Oasis cards, Oasis Surger and Hidden Oasis, you just end up in so much trouble. Oh my goodness. Life Drinker just to have something on board and a battle cry in the pool is not where you want to be at this early.
You're not wrong. But I just don't see what else Fung's got. Like, he could go for Novice Engineer to just try and cycle through his deck to find those powerhouse cards a little quicker. But I think just developing pressure onto the board is a little bit more likely to win him the game. Just because if he ignores the board completely, it doesn't matter if he finds Hair and Evolve, because he'll just be dead before that happens.
Yeah, you've got to try and hope that the Druid, first of all, doesn't have Oasis Surger, so that they have to waste time clearing your board. And then hope that your draws get significantly better really soon. But I can't think of anything better than that hope. Forlorn one though it may be.
So on the side of G2 Tice here, going for the sweeping up the board as much as possible. Gets himself a Scenarius, I agree completely. A little bit vulnerable to mind control tech, to be fair, but it does allow him to dominate that board and just go for lethal a little bit quicker, which is absolutely what you want.
In fact, yeah, the main puzzle that turn was how to actually empty enough cards from the hand to not be overdrawing, and it's a puzzle they managed to do by killing off their own minion finally.
That's right.
So the Mogo on turn 6, obviously rather late to the proceedings. Now at least Fung's going to get some draws to try and get himself some sort of counterplay.
Yeah, that's right. He's got the Hair, he's got the Mogu, so if we find Evolve in the next couple of cards, we're looking at a game on our hands all of a sudden.
Yep. And I mean, they're coming fairly soon. They've drawn a lot of stuff. Oasis Surge is just so good.
What to do?
And it just doubles up as extra insurance on the board as well as being threatening to the face. Needs to be one heck of a turn to get through all the cards in your hand plus these 2 5/4s. Wow.
So now the real skill, in my opinion, for Fung comes in the recognition of what is his avenue back into the game. Slim though it may be, and then how does he preserve those cards in hand? Like, for example, is his best chance of winning Mind Control Tech just hoping that Tice overcommits to the board and gets a nutty MCT to pull himself back in favor? Is it, as I was saying earlier, Hair plus Mogu to be going for 1 giga powerful turn later on? Is it purely Shudderwock on its own, and therefore he should be playing his Battlecry minions more aggressively? It's a tough spot. It's really, really difficult to figure out how to pull yourself back into these Druid games. But I think that Fung probably has the right idea of it
Yeah, just try and do as much as you can. You've got 30 health to play with, which using when Quest Shaman is using health as a resource, it is in trouble, but it is a resource nonetheless that is available to him. And just be willing to take some damage for a turn, and it will be just like one turn too. And that's the ideal setup for the Netherlands here. 16 attack on board, you're playing around MC Tech, and you've got plenty of backup should you desire it.
Mwah, chef's kiss. Love it.
Meanwhile, on the other side
Alright,
of the
those
board,
are things.
there are things. As much as you don't want to wasp this 6-6, I don't see how you win if you don't.
Yeah, I think I would have lost that 6-6. I'm just wondering if it's a Mogu turn as well to alleviate some of the pressure. But honestly, I just don't think that wins. I think you have to tank this 10.
Yeah, the Mogu just doesn't do anything.
It just gets cleared. It just gets cleared.
You're trading an 8-drop into a potential 9-drop into a 5-2. An 8-drop into a 5-2. It's not where you want to be. Because your other cards are not winning you this game, I don't think. It's hard to be super critical of this though, because he's got to do something, but I don't feel you ever win from this position. Maybe the Shadowwalk can go absolutely nuts, maybe that's what he's banking on. But to be fair to the Netherlands, this has come about from their interesting opening. I mean, forgetting the fact that also Hong Kong have had a terrible hand of just getting loads of cards for the Druid, and now they look unbeatable with this hand.
True.
What to do?
In fact, to the point where they've got so many options that, whilst making the right play is clearly important, I think making the wrong play probably just wins the game as well.
I wonder.
I think you're right. As long as they do something, as long as they spend their mana each turn, it should just be enough to win the game.
Funnily enough,
Like, I'm
not
just trying
playing
to
our
stare
mind
at towards
control.
the
Time waits for no one.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, as I say, not playing our mind control tech might be the one thing that they should probably do, just because why not?
I agree.
And this
I
actually-
agree.
Yeah. 5, 6, or Aces Surges are
I think
lovely.
this is perfect. Like, the one downside of this play is obviously the fact that you have now used Flute, which is a ridiculously powerful card when you have the Forgotten King in hand. But it makes basically lethal, well, sorry, it does represent lethal on the following turn when you factor in the scenarios as well, which just sounds more than good.
My claws, the catch.
This needs to be the best Shudderwock in the history of many good Shudderwocks. Don't even see how it can do it. But,
And something tells me it probably won't be. That's pretty good.
Okay. And that's it!
What is that? 21 damage? That's not
Behold
quite
the
lethal yet.
armies of Stormwind.
Oh, I forgot about Variant.
Yeah.
I need to play a
Just
deck
swipe
with
it.
Variant. That was one of my favourite cards.
Yeah, Variant's fun. Getting
Very
sometimes
fun.
from like Elysiana and weirdness then
Right, yeah.
ensues.
So, lethal not quite represented, even with the extra mana from Kun the Forgotten King. So, how does Tice lose it? Is playing Scenarios the potential losing play?
I mean, so to clarify, I don't see how it would lose, but also, if you told me they lost this, I would imagine it's something to do with playing Scenarios.
Yeah, like, what if it's just Starfall swipe to kill off both the minions,
I think it
put
is.
15 to the dome, and
Yeah.
then win?
I don't see why it wouldn't be that, honestly. So difficult to find anything worse. Okay, I mean, the other option, I guess, if you play Kun Scenarios, it's really hard to see how Mind Control Tech would beat you. But there are 2 of them in hand,
guess
and it could do.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. You know what? You say what you want about Tice, he knows how to entertain, and this is definitely the most entertaining line that they could go for.
Yeah. So what's the disaster? How do they not win next turn? Oh, they always
Hero
win
Power
next turn because
MCT.
life.
Yeah, they
You've
do.
got to play Life Drinker or you die to the swipe. You don't know that. So where Fung sat, it's a decision to make. But for where Tai sat, they either steal all your minions and you swipe their face, or they don't steal all your minions.
Yeah,
and
you're
you hit
just-
them in the face.
You're right, this was just a lock. I think 100%. Yeah. Yeah, this is fine.
Hmm?
Yep, Zephyrus should be lethal with just a fireball. Let's all point and laugh, chat.
I don't think he's active, but yeah.
No, he definitely wasn't. That's why I'm pointing and laughing. 'Cause I'm a
Oh,
big
you're
idiot.
pointing and laughing. Good man. Certainly looks like this was a potential moment before disaster play, but it's still going to work out fine.
Yeah, it's definitely
9
the best
damage.
that Fung can go for, and it really comes close, but close is not close enough here, and does mean Tice moves up 1 game to 0 along with Karakasi in the Hearthstone Global Games, and it does mean that they are 1 game closer, 2 games away from qualifying through to the second portion of the tournament later on. The only decks, sorry as I break my computer, that they have to win with now are their Shaman and their Rogue. The Shaman, I feel very confident for them. It's been a very, very strong deck consistently, both in and out of the Hearthstone Global Games. The Rogue, I feel like, could be a little bit more of a struggling point, given that they have to face a Shaman, which can be, you know, not great. It is a quest Shaman, granted, which is a little bit better, but the Warrior is the real sticking point for me as the Rogue.
Yeah, no in there though. It is the Questing Adventurer version, which makes things a bit messier. But I think that Ties and Kuwakazi have managed to play 4 games in the same time it took PNC and now Guided to get to turn 12 of the Priest Mirror. Right, first look at this warrior. Just checking through, make sure there's nothing weird in the list. It is just straightforward Nazoth warrior. 1 Brewmaster, 1 Elysiana, that's completely normal. 1 Omega Assembly instead of 2 Dynamatics is the tweak, which I presume is for the mirror, I guess, just to give you that extra tiny bit of value.
Yeah, I would guess, or just like more mid-rangey late-game classes like Druid. It probably helps you a little bit against as well, or Priest, the Res Priest. But it's definitely not going to be helping them here, because against the Shaman, pretty much all you want is an absolute boatload of removal.
Yeah, I guess also the Omega Assembly actually on 1 can quite often find you just a cheap minion to throw out there early in the game if you whiff on everything. Just
Like
to
a
keep you alive
Dynamatic.
on extra turn. Yeah, I mean in the earlier game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dynamatic
yeah,
seems
being
fine.
facetious.
Dynamatic is probably you're always facetious, Darren, and I love it.
I know. This is the kind of hand for Korikasi that, depending on what comes into the next into the hand in the next couple of draws, is either fantastic or terrible. There's not really much middle ground here.
Okay.
I wonder.
Like, if he can find himself Spirit of the Frog, fantastic.
Yep.
Evolve, fantastic. If he doesn't find either of those cards, or Mogu or Thunderhead, then it's terrible.
Sure. No, I get where you're from. Yeah. But they always find those cards. That's why I was slow to communicate my feelings on that.
They
Because
do.
that's what Shaman does.
They
But yeah,
don't
it makes
quite
a lot
yet,
of
though.
sense. They have very little going on.
Yep.
And they have 1 more turn before the warrior starts to just put minions down every turn. 2 more turns, I guess. But you're normally expecting it to be 1 more. The restless mummies. So the only question is whether to lackey up your totem. I think you need to totem in case you draw Mogu. You want to get some minions out there.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it was partially just, I think, for the chance of hitting spell damage as well, because then you can just zap away very happily. Which I think I like going for the zap here. Like, when you have hair in hand, clearing off the 1/3 is a pretty big deal. I am, however, a big fan of just holding on to all the cheap overload cards for as long as possible in this deck, because as soon as you take out the lightning bolts, which Korikasi and Tice have done, your Thunderheads become quite difficult to actually activate, I find, a lot of the time.
Yes. Yes.
But in this particular instance, because he doesn't have Thunderhead and he does have hair, I like this.
Yeah, the Thunderheads are amazing when they do their thing, but they do get stranded a significant amount.
Yeah. Alright. Something's coming together. I feel a witch's potion a brewing.
Just one evolve short of nonsense. Brawl, of course, is lying in wait.
What to do?
Yeah.
But sorry, Kin, we're keeping you up.
Speaking of cams as well, it's pretty cool. I didn't talk about it as well. Like, Korikasi, getting to go hang in Tice's house, that's like pretty cool. I think if I was playing in the global games team, I'd be quite excited to go play some Hearthstone at his house.
Yes, very much so. Especially as Korikasi doesn't have as much experience as most of the other players in this tournament, I think it's fair to say. So,
yeah, I think
hanging with
to me
Tice,
at least, he's one of the one of the most unknown players. He's getting to just chill with one of the superstars.
Yeah. You get to chill with the superstars all
Have
the time,
some
Dan.
tea.
Does Tice like tea?
Yeah. Chat, does Tice like tea?
Chat will know. Chat know everything.
What now? Unity, precision.
Evolve waiting room while we just discuss things with chat. They don't seem to know. Very disappointed.
What do you mean they don't seem to know? Were you actually being serious as to whether or not Tice likes tea? That's like the whole meme is just T. That's why I was queuing up there.
I see.
Oh. As ever, I wasn't actually having a serious conversation. I was just queuing up a meme. That is definitely my modus operandi for 99% of my conversations.
What's the other 1%? Are you asleep or something?
Yeah, well,
I
don't know.
Time to consider what to do with these Mogus, because holding onto them seems good, but at some point you've actually got to suck some removal out of the warrior, or it doesn't matter what you do, you're just going to lose your board.
I think you just got to chill. Like, this is something that I believed quite heavily with the Shaman deck before, but after having seen Alan 870806 play it at Bucharest, I believe it even more, which is the power of doing nothing. This has been a core tenet of my life for years and years, the power of doing nothing. And it's got me a really long way. And I think it's also a very powerful thing to do in Shaman. Because if you just play out your cards here one after the other, like, you know, double Mogu on this turn to clear the board, zap, lightning bolt, you just lose. That doesn't do enough.
Yeah, we did see Mexico manage to somehow, because they had a different hand, obviously, occupy the board at the same time as get their stuff going. But that was with the Quest Shaman, which is a much more easy matchup to navigate. Tokens, you get 2 goes at it, right? You get to make 2 big boards.
Yeesh. The problem is, though, for Korikasi, that while you do nothing, fun though it may be, your opponent's going to be developing onto the board faster and faster, and that's exactly what the Warrior is able to do here. A gorgeous curve of Ziliax into the Emperor Thaurissan to protect it as it reduces the cost of all minions in hand. This is looking like a tough one for Korikasi to be able to pull it out of the bag.
Yeah, you don't see it very often from the Warrior because it's usually busy spending mana removing your stuff. But left unchecked, it actually curves out reasonably well. Obviously, it's not what it's designed to do, but you can't mess around. It is capable of just killing you in sort of 8 or 9 turns.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're starting to have real issues. Still got the lightning storm.
There is little time.
Can you leave Thorsan unchecked? Probably not.
Squishy.
All right, he's saying, you know what? We've done nothing for long enough. It's time to play something out here and get the Mogu onto the board. I like playing out the Mogu first because it has a contingency plan in case your Lightning Storm low rolls. Like, Korikaze could have gone for there, holding back the Mogu again, and just saying, I have to high roll this Lightning Storm and trade in the 1-1. I think that he's not in that bad of a position where he has to take that risk. He may as well just play the Mogu as a contingency plan. Because his hand, if he finds Frog or Evolve, is still incredibly powerful.
It was a horrible position to be in where they had to make that decision what to do before they saw the result, but obviously you kill off so many minions that the Mogu wouldn't be playable after the Lightning Storm, so had to make the choice. I think they made the right one. The Thorsan was just going to kill them. Because whatever world they're living in, strategically, they need time, and Thorsan going off 3 times is not time, it's a mess.
Obviously unable to play the Sea Giant quite yet because the Voltaic Burst has already been played earlier on, my apologies. And so therefore, it is, I think, going to be a case of waiting still just that little bit longer, which I think is absolutely corrective for Korikaze. He needs to wait for Evolve, or Soul of the Murloc, or Frog, or Stormbringer as well. Just any of these more powerful cards to be able to make a big push and try and close out the game.
I guess if they get stuck and want to do something a bit weird, they've got the Bloodlust as a semi-removal spell at some point.
Yeah.
You'd much rather hit the opponent in the face, especially now as actually, because of how Hong Kong have played, and they're up to 48. A single Bloodlust might not win you the game. Oh, Spirit the Frog, where have you been?
There we go. That's the card that we needed to see from Korikaze. I imagine we're going to start seeing some spells on this turn, just so it can't be dealt with Brawl or Warpath, and I think that is absolutely correct. Finally, for Korikaze, the power turn comes into play.
Yeah, and they are getting everything they can out of it now, because they know it's not going to live for very long. But the burst.
Korikaze has to be careful about mana expenditure here, though. And board space, more importantly.
Yeah.
I think I agree with all this.
Evolve into potential soul.
Yeah, I like that. I think I'd rather see the soul on this turn than the giant. Sure. Okay, have a Soul of the Murloc Warrior. I think that's fine.
Just one weird question here. If they'd waited a turn on each step of this, they could have had double Bloodlust set up onto the Soul on turn 10. Probably too slow, but there you go.
That is true, but they would have had to have not overloaded at all because they played a Zap on that turn.
Yeah, I mean, they'd
it's a
literally
good
have done
point you
everything
bring
one
up,
turn
actually.
later. Yeah. You literally would have waited
Right,
the
and
Spirit
not played
and
the
Frog.
Zap as well.
Yeah, and then just
Yeah,
taken
yeah.
a beating and then played all this a turn later, which may have been too slow.
I think ever so slightly, yes, just too slow. They had to start doing something here, or, you know, the N'Zoth is going to start hitting the board or something scary like that.
Yeah.
No tomb can hold me.
The double Bloodlust
But
was
it's a good point.
four-
It's a very good point.
Have a Warpath. Thank you.
That's pretty good, actually.
Would have been more amusing if they'd had 4 Warpaths or whatever, because the show had lived.
That would have been hilarious. I was wondering if Kin was going to try and handlock them there and make them overdraw a card, but I think there wasn't the actual possibility to do that. I think it would have been one-off.
It would have been amusing. But now they're back in the Oops, boat.
Yeah, he could
That was-
technically have done it, I think, with a weapons project. But either way, I agree. It just wasn't really necessary. This seemed a lot better.
What to do?
Yeah.
And so now we're facing a hand that can't play Sea Giant on this turn. So it's probably just hero power, and maybe you don't even lick him because you're afraid of Harrison.
Yeah, it's horrible. I mean, the one saving grace that they don't know is that actually the warrior's not going to pressure them for a while. But they've got rid of all of their stuff that does anything for now. Very difficult to see any way back.
There is little time.
Trying to search for one. It involves double bloodlust at some point. What a lonely turn.
What a game. What a game. Huh!
Is that Omega
I've never
Assembly
seen
we're talking
Curator
about?
off of Assembly. What does that draw? A Beast, a Dragon, a Murloc? I don't think anything, actually.
I can't remember what it does anymore. I played too much Battlegrounds. Yeah, Beast, a Dragon, and Murloc, I think.
Youthful Brewmaster isn't a beast. Yeah, nothing. That's kind of disappointing.
Not used to seeing that card without Tides of Time printed above it.
So either way, it's just a 7-mana.
Just anything.
Not that bad at all. Yeah.
I mean, just anything on the board right now is clearly extremely handy for them. Kin will be working out what fiendish combo of stuff Ties has left, and it's actually just the worst hand imaginable. I think Kin's well aware of that.
So in that case, how does he
Nothing's-
swing things back around so that he can just keep hero powering every turn? Is it like the kind of play we're looking at of Voltaic Burst plus Bloodlust, and then double trade in, just as an idea?
So what's your plan to do 48 damage? You can hit them with 7 minion board with double Bloodlust, or you can hit them with a Sea Giant several times.
Okay.
I mean, I know these plans aren't exciting and good plans, but they haven't got exciting good cards left to conduct their plan.
I'm a little
like you say-
surprised to see the Giant come down.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off there.
No, I'm sort of wondering out loud because their chances of winning are so low. They're even lower now. Cheeky soul of the Murloc in case your 8/6 curator gets taken care of.
Yeah, so, well, in kind of a cool fashion, the Warpath here can be used to take out the 8/6 minion here, because the first one gets spell damage, so it does 2 damage instead of 1. So this is a way to clear up
Brilliant.
everything bar a 1/1 on this turn, which is probably just correct.
Then they get the Murlocs though. It's only 2 1/1s.
Well, it's just
but
one,
it's
right?
fine.
Just one. Well, because the one on the right.
Oh,
dies,
one will
right? So
die,
it's just
yeah.
One.
One
yeah.
lonely Murloc. So now going Thunderhead. Hope the game bugs and all your things get charged instead of rush. And like you said, they can't even play the lick him, and they've been proved to be right on that. That Harrison has turned up. Yeah, you're not going to get any other utility out of this card, so turning the board into a Murloc seems like the only option. It still feels like they're waiting for an evolve that needs to be insane. They've got to go for it in case Kin has nothing at all.
Yeah, and I definitely don't want to call this a mistake at all from Korokasi, because it wasn't. It was just a different way of approaching it. But I was somewhat expecting this warpath to come down on the previous turn before the Sea Giant did, because I would kind of want to play my Sea Giant when it's a little less contested, to be perfectly honest. But at the same time, you know, most of Warrior's removal is symmetrical, like Plague of Wrath and Brawl. So if they want to remove your Sea Giant, they're probably going to have to kill off their own board as well. So maybe it was a way to play it out without it just dying to a Brawl or a Plague of Wrath.
Yeah, I think you just pick a hand that you think you can beat and try and beat it. Because they're all kind of, all the hands are going to be there at this stage. And Warrior has drawn too many cards. So you pick one and find something you like that amuses you. And it's amusing them. They're both quite happy.
One thing I will say about Korokasi's game plan so far is that it has been enlightening to watch, to say the least, because this is not the way this matchup usually goes. Because most people don't have the I don't really know what the word is, know-how or bravery or like
wherewithal.
I don't know, just yeah, exactly, to play it in this manner, because it's really difficult to commit to this plan on ladder. This is different to every other matchup where you just try and tempo out as quick as you possibly can. Around turn 4 or 5. And it's really cool. I hope that he's able to make it work out, even though, as we've been saying, it doesn't look great.
Yeah, it looks beyond not good. It's the health total of the Warrior that's cutting out all of the cheating options. Like, even double Bloodlust doesn't kill them now. On a full board. I mean, that's nutty. And the problem with that means that Kin can just not take his foot off the pedal, but it means that there's just no danger until he gets everything he wants.
Right.
You know, there will be an Azoth before he dies, and that will seal the deal. And it may well go that far as well, because it looks like he's not able to actually contain everything until N'Zoth does turn up. It just doesn't matter that he can't contain everything. 59 health versus Token Shaman. Everyone should start with 59 health. They've had enough. They've seen enough of this nonsense. Not everybody on ladder can sit there, damn it, and take their time, and they just well played and explode.
Fair enough, I guess. You know, I suppose you're not really going to be winning those kind of games. So that is going to be the game going to Hong Kong there with their Warrior. It's definitely expected to go in that manner because it is a very favourable matchup for the Warrior. I like the way that Tice and Korokasi were approaching it, because I think gave them the ability to try and extend into the late game and stick a big board. But as we saw with their concession there, I think they realised there was just very, very little to be done.
Yeah, the Harrison probably the final straw that ruled out every single option they had. That poises them at 1 game apiece. So we're just going to take a moment, and then we'll get back to see who goes through to the top 16. It's one apiece between the Hong Kong and the Netherlands, and they both got their rogue left, and the other decks are both Shamans according to that. So yeah, that's right. I got the bands wrong. Good old me. So absolutely left over. So not much to say really, and then let's see what happens. I guess. I was just about to make a comment about the Druid, but I forgot the Druid was banned because my notes are superb.
Shall I take over?
You go for it, Chris. Try again.
I always
Let's start
do.
again. Hello everyone, welcome back. The difference, of course, is that one of them is Quest Shaman, one of them isn't. The Hong Kong, I believe, has the Quest Shaman, as opposed to the Aggro Shaman for the Netherlands. But I think that does give a slight advantage to the Netherlands over Hong Kong. But for the moment, we're going to have to deal with the Rogue first before we get through to the Shaman.
And I don't think this will be a very long game of Hearthstone, looking at those hands. Just got a feeling that somebody's going to get an Edwin on the board and that will win. Obviously, it's always a bit weird in the Rogue Mirror what to do with your Edwin because of SAP, but in general, I think you tend to just stick it, play it out there and see what happens. Make sure you don't waste too many cards in the process.
It is definitely looking pretty good for the Netherlands at the moment, especially as the problem is in this matchup is. Sorry, what?
We're both just staring at the screen.
Job's done.
Edwin and Swashbuckler, and just went for the more value-orientated cards.
Huh. I mean, going value-oriented is fine, I think, but. Do you not want Edwin on the coin? Is that not a good thing to have in the matchup?
Because you don't have to make a giant one, right? You don't have to make a 14-14. You can just make a 6-6 with a backstab and a coin or something, and you're fine. You don't have to waste.
Like I get
just huge Edwin.
I get what Kin's going for. He wanted to find Vendetta because you hold on to Hench Clan Burglar because it's really the only way to consistently generate a non-rogue card in this matchup because Blink Fox and the Swashbuckler just give you more rogue cards as opposed to non-rogue cards.
Yeah.
But I think even though I see what he's going for and he did manage to hit it, I would have rather seen an Edwin held on to just for a bit of early pressure.
Yeah, it's just really good early pressure, but I trust Kin to know this matchup, so let's see how that works out for him. The eternal question. Make a decent minion or dagger?
How much is this worth to you?
Wow, interesting. I was definitely looking at dagger there.
And I was going to actually finish that sentence with the answer, if you're not sure, is always dagger. Got to admit. But it does put more attack on board.
Always a big deal. It's not always a big deal. It does. Yeah, that's obviously the reason to go for tempo out. And damage is important in this matchup. But when you're against an opponent who's not on the coin, giving them an ability to activate their Miscreants and Edwin and all that nonsense with a backstab is always a little risky. But maybe that's a bit niche to be getting into.
One of those two things wasn't going to happen at any time soon, by the way. The choice was made not just for now, but right the way up until about turn 6, that either the dagger or the minion weren't going to happen. Because the way this curve is panning out. So maybe Kin's got the vision of just a big board and never needing to dagger anything down.
I think I might have disagreed with every turn from Kin here, except Verocal 1.
Which you wouldn't have had.
Even
because
here,
you wouldn't have... Yeah.
Right. Like, even on this turn, when you're going for Coin Miscreant, I think I preferred Coin Hench Clan Burglar because it gives you 0 mana Vendetta, which, granted, you can get next turn, but it got 3 more attack on the board, or just 2 if you factor in the Lackey that you're able to get down consistently. And you can still go
snowballs
for
into the other one.
turn.
Yeah, and also it snowballs into the other Burglar. At which point, who cares about Miscreants? But Kin cares about them.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't see this in the
I was
future
gonna
when
say
saw
the
the
Kin
opening
did
hand.
not have. I was gonna say that Kin did not have necessarily the mana spare to go for like the Burglar plus the Vendetta plus the Eviscerate now, but with the pickup of the second Vendetta, he's able to just go for the gorgeous tempo play of Burglar, Vendetta, Vendetta.
Yeah, and it's needed, I think. Oddly enough. He's definitely got an unusual take on this matchup.
I take this. Oh, and that.
Choose soon.
Any of those. I think this is
I
the
like
best
the look
choice
of
to play.
just to get,
We agreed with it.
yeah, just deal with any big minions that your opponent's developing. It seems smart, or just turn your lackeys into Murlocs. That seems pretty good too.
Because Hong Kong are playing one questing adventurer, Netherlands are playing two, I believe. So, chance to get rid of a scary questing should something weird happen. One comes down and gets out of control. And even after all that, Kim does have the board.
He does. It was a very impressive swing that he went for. And to be fair, it was kind of a result of his choice to hold on to the Burglar in the mulligan, look for the Vendettas, of which he found both. Definitely rewarded for his style of play there. And I wonder if it leaves Korokasi any other real route to go for other than just Waggle Pick and get rid of the Burglar.
Yeah, nothing else. Everything else looked like it would snowball out of control. You try and challenge the board against Rogue, even if you're a Rogue yourself, it doesn't end well very often because they just play more and more tempo against you, and you end up further and further behind.
I take this. Oh, and that.
Wow.
Wow.
Huh. One awful card and two probably quite good cards. Yeah, I think I can agree with Gloop. Like, if he had one more mana, I think the Weapons Project was fantastic to deal with the Waggle Pick.
Yeah.
But because the Waggle Pick very likely swings on this turn anyway, I do agree that the Floop's Glorious Gloop seems slightly better. Maybe quite a bit better.
Netherlands running into the problem that Rogue hasn't had in recent iterations because of the meta, but the old you use your weapon too many times, you take a lot of damage problem is becoming a big thing here. If it's not hitting your opponent in the face, you are really hurting yourself.
Big time. But, you know, if Korokasi was afraid of his health total, there you go. The Kartut Defender is a great way to start rising that back up again.
Is it though? I mean, it is if it sticks on the board, etc.
Sure.
But I mean, where I was going with that is we've seen Rogue play against both Priest and Warrior, and even those two decks don't like to play the Kartut Defender because of sap.
Right, okay, let me rephrase that. As a rogue, which has no class healing whatsoever, this is the best you're gonna get.
Sure. Rapid fire. Helping a little at least. And the Netherlands have come out on top in the resource war here. For now, at least. Because the downside of the sap I was talking about is, at the moment, is you need stuff alongside it.
However, the upside of Floop and his glorious Gloop is that we are, I think, going to be able to see the 7-drop come down on this turn. Because it's basically just activated as a coin, just to gain an extra mana on this turn, which is a humongous difference.
A glorious difference, one might say. Oh, here come the real cards. They can't even remove this, though. If they play the Kartut, they are dead, I believe. I guess they're not, because they probably shoot down the 1/1.
Yep, okay.
No, they would be dead. It'd be sap
I mean,
eviscerate.
they're still dead. They're still dead.
Exact
And
deadness.
therefore, they are just dead. Is there anything else they can do to try and
They
wrestle
can play
this back?
Blink Fox,
I
but
guess
it makes more sense to hope
Yep.
there's no sap.
Agreed.
With
Agreed.
Cast Division, you play the Blink Fox and try and get lucky, but they haven't got Cast Division, so they just got to hope there's no sap. And they're 2-1 down.
And that does mean. That's right, with Kin starting to run out of value there and maybe giving Tice and Korikasi the ability to swing things back, it does mean that they are finally able to pull the win away and go up 2-1. Now Hong Kong are just 1 game away from very definitely indeed qualifying through to the second portion of the tournament in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, and this is a tough group. Possibly the toughest group of this week. Maybe players are waiting till next week for their groups, but this is a hard one. USA, Netherlands, Chinese Taipei, and Hong Kong. That is tough.
It really is. They've got their work cut out for them. But I think both teams have been playing some pretty good Hearthstone, all things considered, throughout this series. I've agreed with most of the decisions along the way. Like, even Kin's play there with the Rogue, which I did say I disagreed with a lot of the choices of. I totally saw his reasoning every point along the way. He wasn't making bad plays. It was just a different approach in gameplay that is quite drastically changed from my own opinion of Rogue.
And everyone play Rogue. We've seen this time and again. If you watch Just Saying played Rogue when he was on his massive win streak, every other pro was like, this isn't how you play this deck. But who's the guy on a 33 win streak or whatever it ended up being? It wasn't the other pros, it was Saying. Right, Quest Shaman. Trying to get it done against the Rogue. We have seen some rancid Shaman hands, but this isn't one of them. This looks like a much more balanced version of how the deck's supposed to look. Having the Evolve, having Shudderwop, and having some minion generators is pretty much what you want to be at.
Yeah, it seems fine. I mean, it seems fine on both sides, to be honest. An unactivated Underbelly Fence is still a 2-mana 2/3, which is fine, I'd say.
Yeah, especially when the questing's coming down. Questing might not be able to be dealt with at all in some worlds.
Yeah.
Now the hare's turned up, so this is going to be a brutal encounter. I don't remember seeing hare evolve
probably
on
like the
4.
Lava Burst.
Yes. Agree entirely.
But yeah,
try and turn
it's
your
interesting
deck into
point you
the
bring
right
up.
deck.
Yeah, Hare and Evolve has been very absent for the most part in this tournament.
And I do realise that obviously the Quest Shaman doesn't do it as often as the Token Shaman by the way it's built, but it still should do it sometimes, just by accident.
For sure.
Ooh. How often does your questing live here if you just lob it out there? Yeah.
That's what I'm thinking.
Just play it. If it dies, you move on with your life. If it doesn't die, you just win the game quite often.
So many options.
The problem is, though, that to really maximize its chances of sticking, you have to trade into the 1/1 instead of the evil totem, because if you kill off the evil totem, your questing dies to both Wasp and Sandstorm Elemental, which is a much wider range of cards it dies to. Ooh.
I guess my point is that I don't think the Questing Adventurer will have much say in this game later.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you get there, you're probably okay. So just do it, and sometimes they can't kill it. Oh, hares.
Just
hares
straight up
everywhere.
Vanilla Hare coming down here, just for 3 1/1s. I guess just praying that one of them will stick so that you can get 4 4-drops instead of 3 next turn.
Yeah, it's not suspicious at all, is it? I guess with that lava burst as well, you don't need too much to stick. It takes care of the dagger for future references where it's 2 more mana or 1 attack just taken away.
Yeah.
So what's the play here? Obviously you're killing off 2 hares. Now is it time for a questing and a Pharaoh cat?
Choose soon.
I'm pretty sure it's time for questing on this turn, because the the scary thing about this play that your opponent's just made is what it obviously teases is second hair plus evolve. I think that's one of the main reasons why they would go for it. And therefore, that is a scary proactive play. It's not a reactive play though, and therefore I think playing out the questing is very strong. The weakness of it though is if they have Mogu, because I believe if you went for that line of play, hair plus Mogu plus evolve would be available, and that's exactly what Fung has because he's an absolute god.
Yeah, that's the point though.
So
Like
disregard
whichever way they
everything I
did
just
it,
said.
yeah, it was available either way because they played the extra minion. Oh, it's
Oh.
the end of the game.
Oh.
Up ahead is always the end of the game.
I can't even look. Oh my god.
You've done this to enough people, Derek. This is how it feels.
It feels great when you're doing it. When you have to watch the faces
Yeah,
of the people
exactly.
you're crushing, and you can't just pretend that they're
So
mindless
many
drones.
options.
It's a lot harder.
So good luck with this. Just absolute good luck
yeah.
with this.
So many options.
So I'm just going to
So
take a
we could
moment while
evolve into
Derek
a-
works out how to win this.
I mean, there's little. There is little, to say the least. It probably comes in the form of playing Waggle Pick this turn. Yeah, I agree with this, because I think, like, if anything's going to happen over the next few turns, it has to be abusing mana cheating out of Waggle Pick.
Yep, that makes a lot of sense. And I'd be throwing down that
And, like-
Pharaoh Cat and trying to get some sort of miracle as well.
I think this is smart as well to likely pull the Lackey out, just so whatever it is can't activate the Battle Cry.
Oh, the Questing Explorer's still active. Because this Quest Shaman deck has turned itself into a token Shaman deck, just ignored everything, and Hong Kong are through to the top 16. Convincingly there in the end. Hare helped Derek's amused deeply with that Batterhead.
Well,
And
the really funny thing is that if Tice had killed the Burglar instead of the piloted Reaper, he would have survived on 1 health because there would have been 1 less attack on board, and even though the Kobold Lackey was in hand, it would have done 2 instead of 3. So even though I said he made the right decision, that was literally the decision that lost him the game.
cost them the game. Yeah, obviously they were going to come back from that position, for sure. If only they hadn't died
Obviously.
that turn. That's what everyone says on Battlegrounds every turn, by the way. Oh, if I just survive this round, I'm fine. They all say it every single game. Any streamer has said that.
It's true, every time.
But
I was going to win.
that is
I was
the-
going to win.
7th team through to the top 16. It is Hong Kong. We're going to be getting one more team through there, but first of all, they've got to fight for the rights to get there. It is going to be USA and Chinese Taipei to fight for the right to play against the Netherlands, and that's going to be coming up right after this.